Press.
Okay, David had his hand up first.
The question I have to the panelists is that, and I'm asking you, both of you as a question, I think this statement, is that capitalism and socialism, these isms were created by men. So you have, these essentially are their models and their processes. How come we're so fixating on having to stay fixed on a particular model or process, instead of saying, let's take the good things out of both models or both processes and come up with something new? Why do we have to stay stuck to either capitalism or, let me finish. Why do we have to stay stuck to either capitalism or socialism when we know that they're not perfect systems? So let's take the best parts out of both systems and come up with a new system that works for the benefit of more people, as opposed to working for the benefit of a small amount of people. Because we know now that the systems that we're running now are not sustainable. So the international bankers have run this system into the ground. So it's not a sustainable system. So what are you going to do when the system is running to the ground? Are you going to still stay stuck to the same system when you know it's not working for you?
Well, let's go back. Capitalism has been born since the caveman and the cavewoman, or two cavemen, decided to trade something.
It's not capitalism.
Yes, it is. That's capitalism.
All right. Let him finish.
It is providing, capitalism is providing a service for a fee of some sort.
No,
if I have meat, no.
Not a fee, a profit.
Yes, no.
There's a difference.
It doesn't have to be always a profit.
No, it
most likely
in capitalism, it always has to be a profit.
To create capital.
Okay.
It has to be a profit, or else it's not capitalism.
That is true. But let's say I have a chicken, and I want that
That's
goat.
bartering. That's not capitalism.
It's not capitalism.
Well,
you can make a profit in
which is the best system anyway. Bartering is the best system.
bartering is not a good system, because what if you don't have enough of something in order to trade for something you want?
That's what bartering is all about. You come up with something.
You can't.
Well, I want to answer your question about the reason why.
But let me finish.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now, throughout the, what is the difference? It is not the system of capitalism that is the problem. It is people who corrupt it and politicians who use it against others. You know what I'm saying? When people are trying to figure out how to do something, if one group of people are 40% of the United States, the population, do not pay taxes, meaning federal income tax.
And capitalism is greed.
If 40% of the people in the United States don't pay taxes, those people are voting to keep that status quo for themselves in order for others to pay for their subsistence. Now think about that. 40% of the people have no skin in maintaining our government.
That is such a lie. That is another part of this
not
fiction.
a lie.
Do you understand that
We're not talking
when
about
a person that makes $12,000 a year goes to the store and buys milk, he is paying a higher percentage of his total income in taxes than that man that makes $1 billion. As a percentage of his income, he is paying more in taxes than the billionaire. His taxes are hurting him more than the billionaire is hurting him.
All right, if you shut up for a second, that person is not paying the federal government's taxes, meaning Social Security. That is, you know, the sales tax is a local tax.
It's a tax nevertheless.
No, but it's a local tax.
It's a tax out of the man's pocket.
How much of it goes to the federal government that pays for everything? None of it.
I got you.
No money from sales tax goes to the federal government that pays for Social Security, that pays the so-called roads, that pays for all the things you talk about government. None of it. 40% of the people in this country don't pay for anything.
Let him finish.
If that man is making $12,000, I'm going to answer your question.
What you're telling me is that if everybody in the country paid their share of taxes, that would fix our problem with capitalism?
Well, if people are only taking, now, let's just say he talks about that person is only paying a higher share. Okay, let's look at it. If he's paying 10% of 10,000, what's that? Okay, X amount. If the billionaire is paying 10% of $1 billion, what is that?
10%.
That's
what it is.
Okay.
They're both paying 10%.
But the billionaire, okay, let's calculate. The billionaire's probably got maybe 100, 300 employees, 500 employees. He's probably paying billions of dollars in taxes way above the money he earns. Because you don't make $1 billion without having people make you that money. It just doesn't show up like you made $1 billion.
Sonny had something to say.
I want to answer his question. He asked both of us, and I never got to answer his question.
Because you were busy arguing with me.
The answer that I give to your question is, the reason why we can't find a common ground is because in all people, we are conservative. Change is something that no one likes. It's a situation, and this is human. This has nothing to do with a political party. You know, in America, we have taken conservatism and put it on a political party. No, I'm talking conservative in the theoretical sense of conservative. I'm talking the idea that as human beings, we resist change. So that we have been born and raised into a system and told, conditioned, and taught that that system works. And because of that, when someone else comes along and says, change is not something that a human being just grasps. Change is not something that human beings take aggressively. Change is something that as a human being, we resist. Yeah, and that is why we can't find that middle, is because to find that middle, you have to get masses to change. And to get the masses to change is going to be something that is very, very difficult because, again, the conservatism and the idea that humans resist change.
All right, so let's be calm now.
I have the question that I asked about China and Cuba. Why? Because there's a certain kind of war between the systems. Capitalists say that socialists are bad and all of that. But the truth of the matter is that if we have a conglomerate in France, the European Union, we saw what happened to Greece. When Greece collapsed, everybody was scared. I don't care what kind of system you have, if the European Union collapsed, the United States is going to be affected. I don't care if it's the capitalist system or if you hate the French system. They're all friends. They have the same system and they work together. The same thing the brother was talking about, the Congress people. They are friends.
They're what?
They're all friends. They're friends. They work together. We're the one here fighting amongst ourselves, but they are friends.
They don't want to vote. They don't want to vote for us back.
If they think, you know, the Republicans have the majority in Congress right now, if they really want to have a cutting intent of cutting welfare and thinking that it's only black people who are on welfare, I thought that more white people were even on welfare.
That's true, so then why the black people always complaining then?
Ooh, okay, all right. Let's calm down.
But if he just said it, he just said that there are more white people on welfare.
Because they keep getting arrested.
How did that happen?
All right, let him speak. Let him finish.
I just made a comment and you just said that I hated America, so you went on the script.
Where did you get that from?
Hey, Sonny, no personal, man. Let's just go.
But tell me, if it abuses you, you kind of make a blanket statement. What I'm trying to say is that
how is it that there are more white people on welfare, but that is not what the media tells us? That's not what everybody believes.
I can answer that for you if you want. I can answer that for you if you want. You want me to answer that? Because when you look at things that are bad for white people, they're put into percentages. So that it's a situation of where 10% of black people are on welfare, but only 2% of white people. So the perception is 2% of white people means less.
That's what I mean.
When in actuality, because there's 12 more white people for every black people, 2% of white people is 10 times the amount of 10% for black people. But because you heard the percentage of 2 and you heard the percentage of 10, you think that 10 is bigger than 2, and you think that there are more black people on welfare than there are white people on welfare.
My main point is, that's not my main point. My main point is that if the Republican or Democrat, they're just politicians. I just follow Malcolm X. They're just politicians. They're just friends. If they wanted to cut how much money the Congress was making, they would have cut it. Why not cut it? The Senate or the